Hi, it's Professor Moylan. Welcome to Introduction to Video Conferencing for Absolute Beginners. And don't worry about technology because we're not going to talk about anything computer-oriented or related in this very short micro lecture. Remember our online teaching trilogy. We've got our learning management system like Blackboard or Canvas or Moodle. We've got our video conferencing tools, WebEx or Zoom. And then we've got instructional media. We're focusing on our video conferencing in this. And it doesn't matter whether you have WebEx or Zoom. They both basically work the exact same way. And we're just talking about the concepts in this short video. So there's no details about what to click on or anything like that. I just want to make sure that you're real familiar with the concepts, which are quite simple. Okay, you schedule what are called meetings. That's the terminology in both meetings. You invite your students to attend the meetings. You can see and hear the students in the meetings. You can let the students see your computer screen if you want, but you don't have to. You can let the students share their computer screen, again, if you want, but you don't have to. And you can record the meetings so that students who miss class can view them later on. Okay, let's take those one at a time, starting with schedule meetings. You decide on a meeting name or topic. I just used, and I'm sure almost everybody else just used, the name of the class. So, Biz 351 Section 1, or Entrepreneurship Section 1, or whatever. Password. Okay, here's the difference. Zoom does not require a password. You can add a password for Zoom, but it doesn't require it. WebEx requires a password. It generates a random password at the beginning. You do want to change that to something much easier for your students to remember. I wouldn't worry about if you have Zoom using a password in Zoom. If you've heard about Zoom bombing, things like this, maybe that happens at the high school level, but we don't have to worry about that at college. I never put a password on my Zoom class. I had one class that I presented via Zoom in the spring. Never put a password on there and never once had anybody Zoom bomb, so don't worry about that. Start date and time. Now, let's assume that your class starts August 26th. 8 a.m. class. So your very, very first meeting, you'll put start date, August 26th, time, 8 a.m. Duration. Okay, let's say you've got an hour and a half class. But you don't want to do just an hour and 15 minutes. Because if, right towards the end there, you're still talking with someone, it will stop the meeting after an hour and 15 minutes. So make it an hour and a half or even 2 hours. It doesn't matter. Even if you have, let's say you have a class from 8 to 9:15 and you have another class from 9:30 to 10:45. That 9:30 class is going to be set up as a separate meeting. So your meetings theoretically could overlap. You'll just end your first class whenever you're done, 9:15, and then you'll go start your second class. So I err on the side of having the duration be too long because it doesn't matter if you end early. So for an hour and 15-minute class, I do at least an hour and a half. Recurring. Okay, now you set up your first meeting for August 26th, but let's say that this class meets Monday and Wednesday, every Monday and Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Now for recurring, you're going to say weekly, Monday, Wednesday, 8 o'clock. So it starts with the first one that you put in, but then each subsequent Monday, Wednesday, 8 o'clock, it will create a meeting for that, and it will ask you for the end date or the number of sessions, either one. So this is how you can set up the recurring. You only have to do this once. And then it's the same invite for all of your class meetings. Makes it really easy. And then you hit schedule, and it will then generate an invitation. So it'll pause, not pause, that's really not the right word, but it'll wait for a second as it's generating the invitation, then it'll go boom, your meeting is scheduled. Okay, the invitation to the meeting that it generates, it's going to have the name of the meeting, the number of the meeting, blah, 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 all these details. You do want two things out of this. You want the hyperlink and then the details, because you're going to share those with the students. Let me proactively answer a question that you might have. Isn't the hyperlink down there in the details? Yes, it is, but it's actually not technically a link. It's the long web address, but if you only share the details of the invitation with the students, they're going to have to manually go in and copy the address and then paste it into their browser. I don't want to make it harder for my students to show up to class, so I put the hyperlink that they just need to click on to jump into the meeting. So I would get those two things, the hyperlink and the details, and then share that with the students so that they know when and how to show up. You can share that with them in your learning management system or via email or any other way. See and hear students. Okay, students can join with their webcam and camera, but they don't have to. Both Zoom and WebEx give students the capability of phoning in. That's one of the things that's going to be in the details there is, hey, if you're not online, here's how you phone in. All they need is a phone to attend the meeting. Obviously, if they're attending the meeting via phone, they're not going to be able to see the screen. But it's a nice option for someone that doesn't have a computer or maybe is having computer problems or whatever. I would estimate that on average in the spring, maybe 5% of students phoned in. Probably at most 5% of students, and not the same students every time. Sometimes a student would be having a computer issue. I would have them turn off their camera unless you must see them. And the reason for that is bandwidth. The more stuff going on in there, the greater the chance that it'll slow things down. And so you don't want that. And of course, this past spring, a lot of times my students turned their camera off, before they got in there, especially for the morning classes where I think they were still in their PJs or something. But that's a thing that you might want to do. Have the microphones muted at start. And you can do this automatically in both Zoom and WebEx, so that when students join, their microphone is automatically muted. You've got the ability to unmute them. They've got the ability to unmute themselves, but you want to be cognizant of that. And if you have to say, hey, I'm hearing some background noise, somebody's got their microphone open, you do have the ability to go see who has their microphone open. But, I just normally don't bother with that. I just say, hey, somebody's talking, get your microphone turned off. Share your screen. In both Zoom and WebEx, there's this super simple ability to click on an icon and then let your students see what is on your screen. If you wanted to do a lecture via PowerPoint, you don't have to create instructional media, save that as a video, and have students access that in advance. You can do it live, in your class meeting. Although, given some of the issues of the technology, oftentimes it's better to do that in advance, but that's your choice. You've got the ability to do that. Students share their screen, but here's the thing, you're still in charge. You're the host of the meeting. And so if a student is sharing something that you don't think should be shared, you can immediately unshare their screen. You've got the ability to take that away from them. You can record your meeting. Now, as soon as you hit record, it's creating a video of exactly what's on your screen, including the audio. Now, it can be one video of the entire meeting, so you just start the recording, and then you have your whole meeting, and then when the meeting's over, you end it and stop the recording, or you can break it up. So you can stop number one, and then do something that's not being recorded, and then start, and it will then start a second video, and then stop that. You could do some stuff that's not being recorded, start and stop a third one, and so on. This might be, for example, useful if you're going to give a little bit of a lecture in the beginning, but then you'll be doing something that you don't necessarily want to have recorded, or if you've got students giving presentations. And I had several classes in the spring where students gave presentations, and I know sometimes students wouldn't want their presentation to be up on the internet for everyone to see. So a couple of times I did that. I recorded them on a case-by-case basis, but that of course is just up to you. I just wanted to know that you've got the capability of doing that. A great reason to record your meetings is, you can post that video of the meeting online and no student can ever use the excuse that I missed class. Whenever a student says that to me, I say, go watch class online because it's posted up there. Okay, that's just a few of the basics of using video conferencing for absolute beginners. Good luck.